What if I told you that one of Africa's richest men once slept in the gutters of New Kumasi for 3 weeks, begging for scraps? And what if I told you that this same billionaire found the love of his life while covered in dirt and eating from garbage cans? This is the true story of Kwame Asante, and trust me, you've never heard anything like it. By the end of this story, you'll understand why sometimes losing everything is the only way to find what really matters. Kwame Asante owned half of New Kumasi. At just 32, he had shopping complexes in every district, a tech company worth millions, and a mansion with 15 rooms overlooking the city's golden skyline. His garage had 7 cars. His closet had suits worth more than most people's houses. He could buy anything, anyone, anywhere. But there was one thing Kwame couldn't buy, and it was slowly killing him inside: love, real love. Every woman who approached him had the same look in her eyes: not love, but dollar signs. They'd smile when they saw his Bentley, laugh louder when they heard about his properties, and suddenly become soulmates when they learned his net worth. One evening, sitting alone in his marble dining room, Kwame made a decision that would change everything. He called his childhood friend and business partner, Chick. "Brother, I'm done," Kwame said, his voice heavy with frustration. "Done with what?" Chick asked. "Done with fake love. Done with gold diggers. Done with women who see my wallet before they see my heart." And then Kwame said something that made Chike drop his phone. "I'm going to become a beggar." "You're going to what?" Chike shouted through the phone. Kwame stood up and walked to his floor to ceiling windows, looking down at the busy streets of New Kumasi. Cars honked, vendors called out their wares, and life moved in the rhythm that only African cities know. "I'm going to disappear, Chike. I'll dress like I have nothing, live like I have nothing, be nothing. And then, maybe then, I'll find someone who can love a man with empty pockets." 3 days later, Kwame Asante, millionaire tech mogul, walked out of his mansion wearing torn clothes, dirty sandals, and carrying nothing but a rusty cup. He had rubbed charcoal on his face and hands. His expensive haircut was hidden under a raggedy cap. As his driver waited to take him to the post side of town, Kwame looked back at his mansion one last time. "If I find love in the gutter," he whispered, "then I'll know it's real." For 2 weeks, Kwame lived on the streets of Madina Market, one of New Kumasi's busiest slums. He slept under shop stalls, ate leftover kenki from generous vendors, and learned what real hunger felt like. People walked past him like he was invisible. Some laughed, others looked disgusted, a few dropped tea in their eyes. But on day 15, everything changed. It was a scorching Tuesday afternoon. Kwame hadn't eaten in 2 days. His lips were cracked, his hands were shaking, and he was starting to think this whole plan was the stupidest thing he'd ever done. That's when he heard a voice that would change his life forever. "Brother, when last did you chop?" Kwame looked up slowly. Standing in front of him was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, not because of makeup or designer clothes, but because of her eyes. They looked at him like he was a human being, not a street rat. Her name was Amara, and she wore a simple Ankara dress with her hair wrapped in a colorful head wrap. She worked at the market selling provisions, and she had noticed Kwame for 3 days. "You look very weak," she continued in pidgin English. "I beg, make I bring you something to eat." Before Kwame could answer, Amara was already walking away. But she turned back and said something that made his heart skip a beat. "Don't go anywhere, I dey come back." 15 minutes later, Amara returned with a steaming bowl of jollof rice, fried plantain, and chicken. The aroma made Kwame's stomach growl so loud that Amara laughed. "Hey, your bell dey really hungry oh." As Kwame ate, Amara sat beside him on the dusty ground, not caring that her clean dress was getting dirty. "What's your name?" she asked. Kwame paused. He couldn't use his real name. "My name is Kofi," he said. "Kofi," she repeated, smiling. "I'm Amara. Nice to meet you." There was something about the way she said his fake name that made it sound like music. "Kofi, where do you sleep at night?" "Under the bridge near the railway," Kwame lied. Amara's face filled with worry. "Hey, that place dangerous. Oh, armed robbers dey there. You fit die." She thought for a moment, then made a decision that shocked Kwame to his core. "Come to my house." "Your house?" Kwame asked, not believing what he heard. "Yes now. My mama and I, we get small place for Dansoman. You fit sleep for our backyard. At least you go safe." What Kwame didn't know was that Amara's family situation was complicated. She lived with her mother, Mama Essie, her father, Papa Kofi, her stepmother, Auntie Folek, and her stepsister, Zara. The family dynamics were toxic. Papa Kofi had married Mama Essie first, but when she couldn't get pregnant quickly, he married Auntie Folek. When Foleke gave birth to Zara first, Papa Kofi decided she was his senior wife. From that day, Mama Essie and Amara were treated like house helps in their own home. When Amara brought Kwame home that evening, Mama Essie was in the kitchen cooking banku and okra soup. She looked at this dirty stranger her daughter had brought home, and her first instinct was to say no. But then she looked closer at Kofi's eyes. There was something different about him. He spoke too well for a street beggar. His posture was too confident. His hands, despite being dirty, were too soft. "Ah," Mama Essie whispered in Toy. "This man, something dey different about him. Mama, he just need help. Please." Against her better judgment, Mama Essie agreed. They set up a small mat in the boys' quarters behind the house. Kwame would stay hidden during the day when Papa Kofi was home and only come out in the evenings. That first night, as Kwame lay on the thin mat looking up at the stars, he felt something he'd never felt in his 15-room mansion. Peace. For 5 days, the arrangement worked perfectly. Amara would bring him food, Mama Essie would check on him, and slowly, Kwame found himself falling in love. Not just with Amara, but with the family's kindness. But in a house full of secrets, someone was bound to notice. Zara had been watching Amara's movements for days. She noticed the extra food, the frequent trips to the backyard, the way her stepsister would smile for no reason. On the sixth night, she decided to investigate. What she found would turn the entire house upside down. Zara crept through the darkness toward the boys' quarters. She could see light from a small lamp and hear voices. She pressed her ear against the door. "Kofi, tomorrow I want to take you to see my pastor," Amara was saying. "Maybe he fit help you find work." "Amara," Kwame replied, "you don't know how much your kindness means to me. You saved my life." Zara's eyes widened. Her stepsister was harboring a strange man. She smiled wickedly. This was perfect ammunition. But instead of running to tell her mother immediately, Zara had a different plan. She knocked on the door. "Amara, open this door now." The voices inside went silent. After a moment, Amara opened the door. "Zara, what are you doing here?" "The question is, what are you doing here?" Zara pushed past her and saw Kwame sitting on the mat. Kwame stood up slowly. Even in his beggar disguise, there was something commanding about his presence that made Zara's breath catch. So handsome, she thought to herself. Wasted on my stupid stepsister. "Who is this man?" Zara demanded. "He's just someone who needed help," Amara said firmly. Zara looked Kwame up and down with hungry eyes. "What's your name?" "Kofi," he replied. "Well, Kofi," Zara said, moving closer to him, "I hope you know how to show." Gratitude. The way she said it made both Amara and Kwame uncomfortable. What do you mean? Amara asked. Zara ignored her stepsister and spoke directly to Kwame. If you want to keep staying here, you need to make me happy. Very happy. Kwame's face hardened. I don't understand what you're suggesting, but the answer is no. Zara's seductive smile turned into an angry snarl. No! You think you can reject me? A dirty beggar like you? He's not dirty. Amara stepped forward. And he doesn't owe you anything. Oh, really? Zara's voice became dangerous. We'll see about that. Before anyone could stop her, Zara ran out of the room screaming at the top of her lungs. Thief! Thief! There's a thief in our house! He tried to rape me! The entire compound came alive with shouts and running footsteps. Kwame's secret was about to explode in the worst possible way. Papa Kofi came running with a machete in his hand, followed by Auntie Foley Ike and three neighbors. The compound filled with shouting voices and accusations. Where is he? Papa Kofi roared. Where is this thief? Zara pointed dramatically at Kwame. There, he's been hiding here for days. He attacked me. That's a lie, Amara shouted. He never touched you. Papa Kofi raised his machete. You brought a criminal into my house? Mama AC ran out and stood protectively in front of Kwame. Stop! Listen to the truth first. The truth? Auntie Folike shrieked. The truth is that you and your useless daughter have been hiding a rapist. He's not a rapist, Amara cried. Zara is lying. In the chaos, Kwame stood calm in the center of the storm. Despite being accused of terrible things, despite having a machete pointed at him, he spoke with a quiet dignity that made everyone pause. Sir, he said to Papa Kofi, I understand your anger. If someone told me a stranger attacked my daughter, I would want to kill him too. But I swear on my life, I never touched her. Papa Kofi studied Kwame's face. There was something about this beggar that didn't add up. His English was too perfect. His confidence was too strong. Who are you really? Papa Kofi asked. Before Kwame could answer, Amara made a declaration that shocked everyone. It doesn't matter who he is. If he leaves, I'm leaving too. The compound went silent. Mama AC gasped. Even the neighbors stopped talking. What did you say? Papa Kofi asked slowly. You heard me, Papa. If you chase him away, I go with him. Auntie Folake laughed mockingly. Stupid girl! You want to follow a beggar and live on the street? Better to live on the street with an honest man than in a house full of liars, Amara shot back. Mama AC stepped forward. If my daughter goes, I go too. I'm tired of being disrespected in this house anyway. Papa Kofi's face turned red with rage. Fine. All of you can go. Take your beggar boyfriend and get out of my house. As the three of them gathered their few belongings, none of them knew that this was exactly what needed to happen for their real lives to begin. Mama AC led them to a small house in Kaneshi that belonged to her late brother. It had been empty for months, waiting for someone to give it life again. We can stay here, she said, opening the rusty gate. It's not much, but it's ours. The house had two bedrooms, a small kitchen, and a courtyard with a big mango tree. As they cleaned and arranged their few possessions, something beautiful began to happen. They became a real family. That evening, as they sat under the mango tree sharing a simple dinner of gari and beans, Kwame felt something he'd never experienced in all his wealth: contentment. Amara, he said softly, why did you choose me? You could have any man in Accra. She smiled and took his hand. Because when I look at you, I don't see a beggar or a rich man or anything else. I just see coffee, and coffee makes me happy. 3 weeks passed like a beautiful dream. Kwame helped Mama Essie start a small food business. Amara continued working at the market. They were poor, but they were happy. But Kwame knew he couldn't keep living a lie forever. One evening, he made a decision that would test their love like never before. Amara, I need to tell you something important. What is it? My name is not Kofi. She stared at him. What? And I'm not really a beggar. Before she could ask another question, a black Mercedes Benz pulled up outside their gate. The driver got out and bowed respectfully. Young master, your father is ready to see you now. Amara's mouth fell open as Kwame stood up, and his entire demeanor changed. The slouched posture straightened. The humble manner became commanding. Even his voice sounded different. Amara, my real name is Kwame Asante, and I have something very important to ask you. Kwame Asante? Amara whispered. The Kwame Asante? The one who owns Asante Tech? The one whose face is on billboards all over the city? Yes. But but why were you pretending to be poor? Kwame knelt down in the dust of their small courtyard and took her hands. Because I needed to know if someone could love me when I had nothing. I've been rich my whole life, Amara. Every woman I've ever met only wanted my money. But you fed me when you thought I was hungry. You sheltered me when you thought I was homeless. You loved me when you thought I was broken. Tears streamed down Amara's face. You gave up everything to follow a beggar, Kwame continued. So now I want to give you everything to follow a billionaire. Amara, will you marry me? Mama Ezi had been watching from the doorway, her own eyes filled with tears. She stepped forward. My daughter, this man proved his love by becoming poor for you. That's more than most rich men would ever do. Amara looked from her mother to Kwame, who was still kneeling in the dust, waiting for her answer. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. The courtyard erupted with joy and laughter, but their celebration was about to be interrupted by a problem they never saw coming. The next day, Kwame and his father, Chief Adebayo, arrived at Papa Kofi's house in a convoy of luxury cars. They came to formally ask for Amara's hand in marriage and discuss the bride price. But Papa Kofi had other plans. You cannot marry Amara, he declared flatly. Chief Adebayo was shocked. Why not? We're prepared to pay whatever bride price you ask. It's not about money, Papa Kofi said proudly. In our family, the first daughter must marry before the second daughter until Zara finds a husband. Amara cannot marry anyone. Kwame's hands clenched into fists. That's ridiculous. You're holding your daughter's happiness hostage because of an outdated tradition. Tradition is tradition, Papa Kofi replied stubbornly. What none of them knew was that Auntie Folek had put Papa Kofi up to this. She couldn't bear the thought of her stepdaughter marrying a billionaire while her own daughter remained single. Let Kwame wait, she had whispered to her husband the night before. Or better yet, let him marry both daughters. Zara deserves to be rich too. As Kwame and his father drove away frustrated, Chief Adebayo had an idea. Son, do you remember my old friend from university, the one who became a chief in this region? Yes, Nana Osei. Let's pay him a visit. Maybe he can help us understand these traditions better. What they discovered would change everything. Nana Osei received them in his palace with great ceremony. After hearing their story, the old chief began to laugh. My friend, that tradition was abolished 2 years ago. The Council of Chiefs voted to end it because it was causing too much suffering. Chief Adebayo sat up straight. You mean, I mean Papa Kofi is either ignorant or lying. Any daughter can marry in any order. Love should not wait for tradition. That same evening, Nana Ose sent his royal messengers to Papa Kofi's house with an official summons. You will appear before the chief tomorrow to explain why you are blocking a legitimate marriage, the messenger announced. Papa Kofi's face went pale with fear. The next day, the entire community gathered at the palace to witness the proceedings. Papa Kofi knelt before Nana Osei, trembling. You have brought shame to our traditions, the chief declared. You used a dead custom to feed your own greed and jealousy. You will apologize to your daughter immediately and give your blessing to this marriage. Papa Kofi had no choice. In front of the entire community, he was forced to beg Amara's forgiveness and give his consent to the marriage. But Auntie Foleke and Zara were not finished causing trouble. As wedding preparations began, Auntie Foleke and Zara made a desperate plan. They visited a powerful juju man in the mountains, hoping to use dark magic to break up the couple. Make Amara sick, Auntie Folek instructed. Make her ugly, make Kwame forget her and fall in love with my daughter instead. The juju man took their money and gave them a black powder to sprinkle in Amara's food. But as they drove down the mountain in a taxi, their evil hearts full of wicked plans, fate intervened. The taxi's brakes failed on a sharp curve. By morning, news reached the entire community. Auntie Folek and Zara had died in the accident. The black powder was found scattered among the wreckage. When Papa Kofi heard the news, he broke down completely. The weight of his choices, the loss of his wife and daughter, and the realization of how wrong he'd been crushed him. He appeared at Amara's door 3 days later, a broken man. My daughter, he wept. I lost everything because I chose pride over love. Please forgive me. Amara hugged her father, her heart full of both grief and forgiveness. 6 months later, the wedding of Kwame and Amara became the talk of all Ghana. It was a celebration of love that overcame every obstacle, faith that survived every test, and kindness that conquered every evil. As they danced at their reception, surrounded by thousands of guests, Kwame whispered in his bride's ear, You loved me when I had nothing. Now you have everything. Amara smiled and replied, I already had everything the day I met you. And today, 3 years later, Kwame and Amara run the largest charity foundation in West Africa, feeding street children and helping homeless people find love and hope. Because sometimes the best way to find your purpose is to lose everything and discover what really matters. The end. But wait, there's something I didn't tell you about what really happened to that juju man in the mountains. And trust me, when you hear this next story about spiritual consequences and divine justice, you'll never look at revenge the same way again. If you want to hear that story, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on because we're dropping it next week and it's going to blow your mind. Don't scroll away without hitting that subscribe button. And tell me in the comments, would you have the courage to give up everything for love like Kwame did? Share this with someone who needs to believe in real love again.